2.3 Purpose Cycle OKR to Distill Flow Feedback Probe Cycle Logs. Mr. John Doerr, venture capitalist, said, "People can't connect with what they cannot see. Networks cannot blossom in silos. By definition, OKRs are open and visible to all parts of an organization, to every level and department. As a result, companies that stick with them become more coherent." Using our DFFP cycle log, we are able to increase the coherence of what it is that we do on a daily basis and tie it both actually, figuratively, and literally to what is implied in our vision and mission statement as a company. This brings transparency, this brings just a sense of connectedness, both with your work, the work of your team, and the work of your wider company. Implied purpose, once it's been captured, acceptance tests will be written very briefly and very shortly in the next couple of slides. You're going to see how this all ties together to make more flow happen on a daily basis and to reduce the friction of a lack of alignment. We really want our OKRs to be aligned with what we say in our implied purpose statement. So let's ask ourselves some questions. Please bring out your implied purpose statement number one. In other words, the most important implied purpose statement that you captured. Now look at your OKR 1 and look at your OKR 3. Is there a distinction that you can see in the statements that you've written between what is really important as an objective for OKR 1 and what's actually captured and said in OKR 3? In other words, if our purpose is to create software that expedites transactions without getting hacked, is expediting the phone to the point of sale money transfer from 3 seconds to 10 milliseconds more important than reinforcing a validation protocol to make sure funds were received? I would think so. Going from 3 seconds to 10 milliseconds is definitely expediting a transaction in our point of sale example. So in this case, as this is written, it definitely fulfills that request. Go ahead and look at your OKR 1 and your OKR 3. Just pause and just take a look at it. Okay, now take a look at purpose statement number 2. Do the same OKR 1 to 3 check. Okay, let's look at purpose statement number 3. Do the same analysis. Is there a distinction between OKR 1 and OKR 3 in terms of its importance to deliver the purpose statement that it is associated with? Okay, thank you for doing that analysis. Time to write acceptance test driven design or acceptance test driven development tests. These are the little daily pieces of work that we're going to execute. We're going to capture and execute that really help us deliver on the OKR that we've already captured. So for instance, if we have OKR number 1 for purpose statement number 1, let's go ahead and look at acceptance test driven development 1.1.1. And from now on, I'll just say test 1.1.1. Say, for instance, we're going to code the NFC, the near field communication, for iPhones to point of sale to prepare to transmit for an elapsed time of 1 millisecond. So we're going to take a small sliver of what it takes to actually expedite phone money transfer, and let's just focus on how it happens within an iPhone and how it happens between an iPhone to a point of sale using near field communication or NFC technology. And let's see if we can do it within 1 millisecond. That is a small chunk of work which could potentially be done in one day. So that's why we write the test. We actually write the test And we start the test in the state of fail. So in other words, we haven't coded the NFC, and it's not able to transmit within 1 millisecond right now. Right now, it's taking about 3 seconds. So we're in a failed state, a red state. But we're going to do the work today to make test 1.1.1 successful. Okay. We're also going to look at potentially test 1.1.2. Maybe this is going to be work for tomorrow. Let's see if we can do a receive within an elapsed time of 1 millisecond. And then let's do 1.1.3. Let's do the test to see if we can integrate a bank API call from consumer bank to the iPhone, and we can validate that within 1 millisecond. Okay, so you see how we just broke down an OKR, which we want to deliver within 1 to 2 weeks, which is a small chunk of what we want to do for our purpose statements, implied purpose statements, which we want to deliver between 1 to 3 months. We actually now have a piece of work that's a daily piece of work that we've actually captured and now can actually execute in a methodical way. All right, and we're going to do the same thing for OKR2 in terms of validating for test 1.2.1. We're going to validate 100% of the list of all the known near field communication hacks on point of sale. So that's kind of a research test. Then we're going to code harden against the highest frequency hacks of the near field communication at point of sale hacks that we find in 1.2.1. 1.2.2 is going to actually support that testing. Okay. Now let's go into OKR3. Let's see how we can actually help that 1 or 2 week chunk of work for OKR3 to actually triple check 100% of the funds are received. Let's go ahead and validate the database of the retailers with near field communication enabled within their point of sale devices. All right. So we're going to run that test in 1.3.1. Okay. Go ahead and capture at least 3 acceptance tests for each of your OKRs. This will take some time. That's okay. This is how we capture and actually execute work on a daily basis. This is the guts, the workhorse of Frictionless Enterprise. And we are literally increasing flow because we're capturing small chunks of work. Small pieces of work have a tendency to move through a system a lot more quickly than big chunks. And so that's why we capture these tests this way and execute them on a daily basis. I want you to notice that there is a cascading effect in the tests as they've been written. And obviously, as you keep writing more and more tests, you'll get better and better at writing smaller and smaller tests that can be executed within a day, maybe even within a half a day, so that whatever level of work you do, if it's coding, if it's software, if it's creating chemical substrates, if it's delivering pharmaceutical chemicals to new manufacturers or downstream manufacturers, whatever it is that is the substance of what you do on a daily basis, you can write a validation test for it, whether it be technical or whether it be more qualitative, because there are qualitative tests that you can write as well. But the point is, write the validation so that it's actually measurable and observable, because we really want you to be able to hand over your log of purpose OKRs and ATDD tests to a peer, to a colleague, and they can read what you've written and understand it and validate that it is in fact a legitimate approach and you've done the work. Okay. Please go ahead and capture your acceptance test driven development tests by OKRs in alignment with purpose statements 1, 2, and 3.